And then you can go back to your instructor.
Yay. Okay, perfection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. I think that.
If you hover over these again, it pulls us up a little. Is that what you're looking for?
I was trying to grab and go here. What's this one? This one. Oh, we're way down here.
Well, they probably have, something like.
Awesome. Thanks.
I know if you're talking about, you got. What?
I think my son does that in the basement.
Yeah, it's still something you gotta, as I get older, I'm like, oh yeah, I can get that fixed.
Right. My son will charge $300 to come in, put it in. Get it all done. For anybody.
For how much?
$300.
That's way too cheap. You can't even buy the stuff for that. What? That's way too. He just did that because you're his mom.
When I call somebody for something like that, I'm always like, listen, nobody's asked for a deal. Like, just put that.
Yeah.
This is not my daughter that I'm.
Right. Whatever the cost is, that's what the cost is.
So you yank the old one out?
I just had a sump pump. Oh, just replacing the pump. I was going to say, because we had one, I just had one in Olathe where they needed to like cut the hole through the slab, and put the pit in and everything. And they charged $1,300, which I thought was super reasonable.
I cut a hole with that concrete solid stuff.
Uh-huh. I know. Yeah. This was that place. They were out of Grandview, Mac Wilson Plumbing. That's like one of the main things they do is install sump pumps. And they came out there, they cut the hole through the slab, dug the pit like super deep. I couldn't believe how deep it was. And then they filled it back with gravel, and then put the black plastic sleeve in, and they knocked out a bunch of holes in it so that the water could go into the sleeve, put the pit, send it out the house. Yeah, I thought so too.
Included the pump.
Yeah, that's super reasonable. Because a lot of times, hey man, scooters? All right. All right.
He does that kind of stuff at night.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
At 1,300 sounds reasonable too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought for that too.
I had we have a kitchen sink that goes down. It's in an unfinished part of the basement. Goes under the floor, and every year and a half, 2 years needs sink. 2 years ago, I said, hey, it's mud here. So it clogged up again. I mean, it was getting slow around Easter. So I called, but came out, checked it. Like, yeah, I can't get it. We're gonna have to run it. Fortunately, it's probably 35, 30 away or whatever. There's a stack over the second level. It goes to the first and the second. The thing comes down and goes under. So just rerouted it. I'm like, well, the beam's here. I'll tuck it, so it doesn't look weird. So it got really lucky. I was thinking, well, the only way to fix it is to cut it.
Yeah.
I don't do that, but I'm just like that.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
Thank God I have sons.
That's helpful.
Even that PVC work, actually, that PVC work, I think was 1,200.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure.
And it was just.
Yeah, my oldest son.
Yeah.
1,300 sounds wonderful. 300 sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
That was 4-way plumbing.
Do it.
Yeah, 4-way does. Yeah, they're pretty reasonable, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I know. One of my buddies, he doesn't really go out to Olathe, but I just asked him and he was like, oh, probably $2,000. Like he hadn't looked at it yet, and so I was like, all right, well, Mac Wilson does, and it's 1,300, so done deal. And they have a good reputation, so. Okay, we're jumping into 6 personal perspectives. Perspectives 5 and 6 this week. If you guys aren't familiar with them, we started with steps 1 and 2. Laura, any chance you remember what either 1 or 2 is? Oh, you weren't even there. Never mind. You weren't here. Were you here for the first week? All right. Week number 1 was commit to self-mastery. That, if you remember, is know thyself. Knowing yourself. It's if you don't know yourself, you can't master yourself. Mastering yourself is it's the prime thing that we could do in all these perspectives. Know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are. Don't spend time taking an area that you're maybe a 3 or 4 in and making it a 5 or 6. Those are the things that we outsource. Those are the things we leverage. Yes, both in our real estate, but also in personal life. If there's things that just like our time sucks for us, but they don't advance us towards our goal or help us get where we want to go, that's stuff that we can easily outsource. For example, laundry. I can totally outsource laundry, but I can't outsource spending quality time with my 13-year-old daughter, right? So I'm going to spend my time with my 13-year-old daughter, and maybe I take my clothes to the laundry, to the, what is it right here? I can't, faultless. I take my clothes to the dry cleaner and drop it off, or I pay somebody to come in and do laundry so that I can go spend time with Andy. What are some other things that, in our personal life? Eating, like I have to eat at some point. I can't outsource that, but I might be able to outsource mowing my lawn, right? Freeing up my time to do the things that are important to me. And then the commit to self-mastery led us right into the 80-20 rule, which says that 20% of my time is spent on things that lead to 80% of my results, and vice versa. We spend 80% of our time doing tasks that only lead to 20% result. 20% time leads to 80% of results. In real estate, the number one thing that leads to the most amount of results in our business is lead generation or relationship management. And that's also the thing that we typically spend the least amount of time doing. We spend a ton of time doing contract management, which is awesome that you have contracts to manage. But when you're done with the contract management, now you're back to no business again. Or if you're like me, you spend 80% of your time trying to design the perfect open house flyer, which doesn't really lead to my results either. But I spend 20% of my time cultivating my relationships, calling my database, shooting out some happy birthday text messages. And wouldn't you know it, those are the ones that get returned with, hey, my cousin wants to sell their house. Any chance that you would mind helping them? Mind, that's what I want. Like, and how much time do I spend a day doing that? Like 30 minutes, right? If we actually did what we learned in Bold, which is to do lead gen for 3 hours a day, you wouldn't have to do anything else because you would have so much business. You would leverage everything else. I would hire a marketing person. I would have another agent do all my open houses. I wouldn't have to do any of that because I spent 3 hours lead generating and now I have 17 listing appointments to go on this week, right? If 3 hours a day, 15 hours of lead gen, no?
That'd be awesome.
I know, but no one does it. I literally don't know one agent that lead gens for 3 hours a day every day. I don't know one. I know plenty of agents that have huge life. Finn is probably the most consistent lead generator I know. I don't know. What have they already made this year? Like a few $100,000, and we're just now halfway through the year. But he doesn't lead gen for 3 hours a day every day, right? Like he's too busy trying to play golf and raise bees and build his farmstead out there, which is wonderful. But my point is, if you lead gen for 3 hours a day, you would make so much money. You would just be too busy. You would have to leverage that stuff. Committing to self-mastery leads into this because the mastering yourself helps you to identify what am I really, really good at. If I'm really, really good at making open house flyers and doing marketing, guess what? I'm going to do a total business shift and I'm not going to be a production real estate agent. I'm going to serve real estate agents and I'm going to have a marketing business, right? If I'm an incredible contract manager, which I am not, I'm going to change and I might become a contract to close person and I'm going to market to real estate agents, but I might step out of production, right? Like, so identifying what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, that leads me into 80-20, or otherwise known as the Pareto principle. Okay, how about last week, steps 3 and 4? What was that? The Pareto principle, Paredo. His name is Wilfredo Pareto. And he was the one that essentially coined the 80-20 rule. So some 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. And that's where he identified that 20% of effort leads to 80% of results and vice versa. And then like in church world, right? Like who are the tithers that are actually supporting the church? About 20% of the congregation. Who are the volunteers that consistently show up to make things happen? About 20% of the group. It's right. Yeah, 5%. Yeah. Yeah, seriously, right? Weeks 3 and weeks 4 was last week. Sorry, excuse me 1 second. Let me respond to this real fast. Perfect. I got an offer that I sent in over the weekend, and they're making some decisions this morning by 11. So.
By 11.
Uh-huh.
Like,
What's that?
you're like, of course you are.
Oh yeah.
10 to 11.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We can actually. Okay, then last week was week 3. Let me squeeze these writings off here real quick. Was moving from E to P. Purposeful. Entrepreneurial to purposeful. It feels really good to be entrepreneurial. Feels really good to show up and just kind of whatever direction the wind's blowing that day, that's the way to go. I like doing that. I hate looking at my week and my whole week is just scheduled out to the max. I hate when my day is that way, when I'm like, oh, I don't have any me time. Like I don't have any like margin time to just do what might feel great. I hate it when my schedule is just nailed down to the hilt. However, I'm also the most effective and I'm the most efficient when I'm running by my schedule too. Because even like lunch, if I put on my calendar where I'm going to eat lunch at, I don't even think about it. I just go there and I grab my lunch. Or if I'm packing lunch, I have my lunch packed and I'm ready to go. Yesterday was a perfect example. I was out showing houses. I kind of wasn't 100% sure when we were going to get done looking. And so like we kind of ran long and then I was like, I was hungry and they were going to go kind of talk about what they wanted to do and they needed to feed their kids. And I was like, what do I want? And I was in Olathe and I was kind of like looking around and like, I bet I wasted 15 minutes just trying to like figure out what I wanted. And so then I was like, oh, I'll get Strips. Strips is this like little chicken tender joint and it's so good. And I drove to Strips. They were closed. They're closed on Sundays. Well, I didn't know that. So then it was like, it just all those little things. But if I would have like looked real quick, oh, Strips is closed. Where am I going to eat at? Okay, we're going to be in this area. So I'm either going to eat here or here. And then I just drive there and I waste less time when I kind of have my day mapped out. It doesn't feel as good though. It feels a little bit imprisoning to me, but that's mindset, right? That instead of me being like, I'm in charge of my schedule and I'm the most efficient when I'm running in this mode, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of imprisoned and I just kind of want to change stuff. Sometimes I could build into my schedule being less purposeful and more entrepreneurial. But if I'm moving in business, I definitely want to be less entrepreneurial and less purposeful and more purposeful. Sometimes I can make calls in my car while I'm driving. Well, but I'm the most efficient when I make that list ahead of time. And so I don't have to think about who I'm going to call when I'm driving. I just grab my list and I call this person and then I call the next person on the list. And I was purposeful in establishing my list of who I was going to call. Driving in my car and doing it, that's great. I feel like that's a really effective use of time. But if I'm just like trying to scan through my contacts or something while I'm driving, like probably not the best idea, right? Moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful is establishing a system. And it could be using an existing established system. The more purposeful I am, the more systems I'm utilizing. Making that list, that if that list came from my DTD2 plan, then I would have known exactly who to call and when to call them and when I talked to them last and what I last talked to them about. That's being purposeful. Moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And then also last week, we talked about make being learning based a foundation. Remember, we talked about, oops, I'm not writing very good today. I'm writing too sideways. Make being learning based a foundation. I don't know everything. I'm never going to know everything in this business. This business moves at lightning speed, and with all the apps and all the things that are pulling from user content, even Command does that. Like, there's no way that I could possibly keep up with all the trends that are happening nationally, globally, really even here. I can really only handle about 5 or 6 different trends in the real estate business and really know them well. However, I need to learn. I need to know. I need to be aware of what's going on out there. Otherwise, I get left in the dirt. Make being learning based a foundation of really business and life. If you remember, we went through the 4 levels of consciousness. There's the unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence states, I don't know what I don't know. And I remember I used the brushing your teeth or tying your shoe. When I'm first born, I'm not just born knowing that I even need to brush my teeth. When I'm first born, I don't even have teeth. And as my teeth come in, I don't even know that I need to brush my teeth. It's unconscious incompetence. But then what happens is I become conscious of it. So then I go to conscious incompetence. And that means I'm aware of it, but I don't know what to do. So all of a sudden I'm crawling around on the floor and I see my dad brushing his teeth at the vanity. And I'm like, what is he doing? What's that thing he's putting in his mouth? Like, what is going, like, should I be doing that? Now I'm conscious of it, but I'm totally incompetent. I just still don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. Right. And then I start becoming aware, and I start learning what the process is. And so now I have a conscious awareness of it, and I begin learning. So being learning based, I start learning now through my conscious awareness. It's conscious competence. If you're writing it down, Chad, that conscious competence means that I think about it, I'm learning it, and now I'm starting to do it. You have kids, you remember, like, hey, did you brush your teeth yet? No, not yet. Like, they have to be reminded, did you brush your teeth for 2 minutes? Because it doesn't look like you brush your teeth for 2 minutes. And we're teaching, so I'm learning that. And it doesn't have to be brushing my teeth. It could be anything. I'm aware now that I need to know. I'm aware how it works. And now I'm learning how to do it. And once I learn how to do it, and I do it enough times, then I move into unconscious competence. Unconscious competence means that I can do it and I don't even need to think about it. Now I wake up in the morning and my subconscious is just like, oh, my mouth, like I need to brush my teeth. Or maybe I wake up, I have my coffee, eat some breakfast, and then I need to brush I've created a routine or a habit. And so now I don't have to think like, okay, what's the first step that I do? Like, okay, I put toothpaste on the toothbrush. Like, I can do it in my sleep half the time. I grab my toothpaste, I put it on my toothbrush, I start brushing. I know about how long 2 minutes is. I made a joke last week because I have a orbital toothbrush and it has like the 2 minute thing built into it. So it lets me know every 30 seconds and then it shuts off after 2 minutes. But tying my shoes the same way, like we learned like the little rhyme about looping and swooping and, you know, all of those, like we learned that, but now I don't even think about it. I don't even have to look. I can close my eyes and tie my shoes. Like I don't need to think. It's unconscious competence. I've just got it. That comes from making being learning based a foundation to my life, not just business. But the more that I learn, the more that I do, the more powerful I become. And as I move into unconscious competence in all the practices, I'm so much more efficient. I'm more purposeful. If I had to look at the flow chart of how to tie my shoe every day, man, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? But now I just grab my shoes, like I tie them real quick, I'm out the door. It took me 12 seconds to tie both of my shoes, right? It took me 2 minutes to brush my teeth. I'm out. I didn't have to get out the flow chart and see how to brush my teeth. And it's the same way in the real estate business. As I'm learning and I move into that unconscious competence, I'm not having to think like, okay, what's the timeline? What needs to happen? Like they want to write an offer. Okay, we write an offer. Now what do I do? Okay, what happens next? When's the inspection period? Like I'm just going now. I've got the numbers. I've got the dates. I've got the timelines. Now, sometimes I need cheats to help me remember like, ooh, did we do a 7-day inspection window or a 10-day? When did we go under contract? So I want to have a system in place. I want to be really purposeful of how to manage that information, but the flow of it, I'm in unconscious competence on some of those things. The more things in business that I can have unconscious competence of, the more efficient I am, the more purposeful I am, and the more scalable my business is. And life's that way too, because we have things at home. The more I learn, the more that I know with my kids' schedules, my kids' lives, car insurance, refueling, all the things of life. What grocery store that I want to go to? Oh, did you know that they have produce discounted every day at this time? Or what? All those things. The more that I learn and the more that I know that, then I become more purposeful, and life becomes less stressful, easier, more efficient. I might even create an opportunity to work more. I might create an opportunity to spend more time with my family. I might create an opportunity just to have more me time. I can do anything with those efficiencies. I can either grow, I can relax. There's a ton that I can do. Okay, so now we're moving into steps 5 and 6 this week. Step 5 is remove your limiting beliefs. Chad, I can't remember. Did you go through bold? Okay. One of the things in bold that always blows me away is they've kind of changed the lead gen time in there, but usually they have lead gen time every week when you're in bold. And I remember when I very first did bold and they had you calling FSBOs and expireds. And I remember watching a ton of seasoned agents. They're eye rolling, and they start calling their friends and kind of checking out. And all of a sudden they have this contract emergency that they need to deal with, and they didn't make the calls. And the brand new agents are calling FSBOs and expireds, and they're landing appointments. And the reason is because they didn't have any limiting beliefs around them yet. But as we become seasoned agents, it's FSBOs are FSBOs because they don't want to work with an agent. That's just it. And I'm not going to convert them. They don't want to work with an agent. It expired because the people didn't really want to sell their house. I'm not going to call them. I'm not going to waste my time with that. Meanwhile, the brand new agent that doesn't even know what to say just walks away in a 45-minute phone call session with a listing appointment. Why? Because they didn't have limiting beliefs. So what happens is, as we go through life and as we process, we develop beliefs that limit our level of achievement. It becomes a conscious thing that we have to do to remove those limiting beliefs. High achievers remove limiting beliefs from their thinking that hold them back. We can find ourselves falling into the patterns of life, right? We get in a rut. Well, cool. That happens to everybody. Now the high achievers, they find a way to get themselves out of the rut. How do I get unstuck? I'm going to the gym. I'm lifting weight. I feel like I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm not gaining. I'm not being able to lift any more weight. I'm stuck in a rut. What's the first thing I'm going to hire? I'm going to hire a personal trainer. I'm going to hire somebody that can see on the outside, actually, you're just lifting the same weight that you've lifted for the last 6 months. Let's try throwing a little bit more weight on there. Well, I'm not going to be able to get my 10 reps or my 12 reps or what. Cool, but I'm lifting more weight now, right? And then my muscle is going to build. Maybe I'm not getting enough sleep. So they're going to start asking me questions well, how well are you sleeping at it? What are you eating? Well, I drank Dr. Pepper and I had my Big Mac from McDonald's, right? What am I fueling my body with? For me, having a coach is probably the most helpful on removing my limiting beliefs, which also leads us into step number 6, which we're going to get to today, and that's be accountable. That's probably, for me, the thing that I buck against the most is being accountable. It doesn't feel good to be accountable. And when I say that I'm going to do something, I want to do it if it's convenient and if it works out. I don't really want to do it if it requires a ton of hard work. Every hard thing that I've ever done, though, has only come out of accountability. It's never happened by accident. There's a lot of things that I've said that I was going to do or that I wanted to do, and I had zero accountability and I didn't achieve it. And then I just went, oh, well, it was a fun mission. It was something fun to try. One of my friends, Chris Ward, you guys might know him from here. He and I were going to do an Ironman event a couple years ago. And there was a lot of mornings that I was like, the last thing I want to do is get up at 5 a.m. so that I could jump in Longview Lake and swim for 1.5 miles. The water's cold. I'm tired. That's miserable. And then what would happen is my phone would ring and Chris was like, hey, I'm leaving my house. I'll see you there. I guess I'm getting up. I guess I'm going. But if I didn't have Chris's accountability, I probably wouldn't have even made the competition in the first place. But because I had it's mutual accountability, because there was plenty of days that Chris didn't want to get up. There was plenty of days that he didn't want to ride his bike 50 miles around Lee Summit. Like, there was a lot of things to it, but the mutual accountability is what caused the success there. Finn, he and I going through Bold a couple of times together. Like, I remember one time they want you to be extroverted. They want you to get out of your shell a little bit if it's unnatural. And I can't remember what, like, they had us chant something and I can't remember what it was. And I could hear Finn a little bit louder than me. So then, like, I was yelling it louder, and then Finn, like, before long, like, he and I are both yelling it at the top of our lungs. Like, there was some built-in camaraderie, some built-in accountability there that causes you to do the thing that's uncomfortable. And most of the uncomfortability comes from a limiting belief. I don't know that I can do this. I've never done this before. What if this? What if that? They're all limiting beliefs, and we can remove them. Okay, let's watch real quick. If this is going to let me pull it up, oh man. Let me see if it's going to let me do this. Nope. Yes. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Kimber Minkidi, and I've been with Keller Williams since 2007. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today about our 6 personal perspectives, specifically removing your limiting beliefs. Now, what are limiting beliefs? These are our thoughts that can often hold us back from being able to achieve unlimited success. So what we want to talk about is how you can remove your limiting beliefs and unlock unlimited potential. When I first started in the business, I just finished my first year in real estate, and we set a wild goal to close 100 transactions. Nobody in our local market in DC was closing 100 transactions at the time. And so immediately after we said it, I felt sick. I was like, there's no way we're going to actually be able to achieve this goal. And I realized I needed to look outside of my local market to find others that had already achieved 100 plus transactions. And in our Keller Williams family, I was able to identify several top agents from around the country who were very willing to talk to me about what they've done to achieve success in their real estate business, especially so early on in the start of their careers. We went on to really focus on what the activities were that were going to help us reach the goal. This was a humongous shift in our thinking. And so ultimately, we went small to go big. We really said, what are the key contacts, conversations that we need to have with a team on a regular basis to achieve that goal? And when we looked up, by October of that year, we had exceeded our goal by being able to have focused folks around us that helped hold us accountable and who were able to really get focused on those key numbers, which were not the lagging indicators, but our leading indicators. Now, the reality of limiting beliefs is it's not just a one-time thing. So if you fast forward a few years, when I stepped into the regional director role for the Maryland, DC region, I saw those limiting beliefs creep right back up. I had taken a very untraditional path as being a mega agent into regional and then national leadership. And so there were lots of limiting beliefs that I didn't have enough of the experience coming in, that hadn't followed that traditional path into leadership in our organization. And so I did the exact same thing. I went and started to talk to different people that had held the role, had been in the role, had succeeded in the role, and really looked to understand what they had done to really allow that success to take place. And that piece of being able to identify someone that could walk you through and really transform the idea that this limiting belief was actually something that was inside of me, that was holding me back from being able to recognize and realize my full potential. So I'm going to encourage you today to first to identify a moment when you realize that it might be a belief that you have, that may be one that you've had your whole life, that's holding you back from doing the production that you want to do, from stepping into the leadership role that you want to do. And the second thing I'm going to encourage you to do is look for someone in your world, and maybe not in your world today, that has actually achieved that they've done this thing, they've been in the role, they've closed units that you're interested in doing. And pick up the phone and have a conversation. Get on a plane, meet them, have a conversation, And then look not just about what they did, but really understanding a couple of really specific steps that they took to achieve that goal that you could implement back into your practice. Because we know you unlimit your beliefs, you unlimit your potential.
One of the things that she mentions in there that I think I love, or that like sits home for me, is that she had conversations with somebody else who had done what she was thinking about doing. So even like at the 100 transaction level, she was like, we had to go outside of our market center to talk with other agents and teams that were doing that already. Like, it's real easy for me to go like, I don't like, there's no way I could do 200 transactions a year. But then Diana Kokoska, she was like, that's like her baseline. That's like the minimum for her. So there's people that do it. So what are they willing to do that I'm not currently doing? And that helps me to remove my limiting beliefs. I think Dan Grieb came in here one time and he did a little coaching session, and he just, for some reason, he was like, I know I will be successful if I'm making $1 million a year. For me, like, that's his bottom line. And he even told his wife, like, if I don't hit my goal today, don't let me back in the house. And there was a couple nights that he had to sleep in his office. And so people come to him now all the time and they're like, hey, I want to be a millionaire real estate agent. Like, and he was like, yeah, a lot of people want that. And everybody can achieve it, but few people are willing to put in the effort that it takes to do that. And so Dan was like, there were so many things that I had to sacrifice in order to get to that level of achievement. And most people just simply aren't willing to do what it takes. I love her thought process there. Even her regional director tenure, she made some calls and met with some other regional directors like, hey, how'd you do this role? What did you do? How did you make it successful? I think that's really wise in removing limiting beliefs, because we get stuck around the same group of people all the time that we start getting in this little echo chamber, like, well, this is what's happening in my market. And then they're like, yeah, that's happened to me too. Yep, it's happened to me. Like, well, it must be happening everywhere to everybody. And that's just simply not the case. And so talking to somebody that has done what it is that you want to do, or that's at least gone down that path. Think of a time in your life when you had a limiting belief you needed to remove. How did you do it? What new successes came your way once you removed the limiting belief? Think about those things. You don't have to share, but think about them. The time in your life when you had a limiting belief that you need to remove. I feel like I have limiting beliefs all the time. How did you do it? I think for me, that like when I do remove a limiting belief, it usually is seeking outside help, outside counsel. It doesn't have to be a coach, but it's usually like talking to someone else about it and being like, oh yeah. I know that my perspective isn't always right. It's usually not. And then also, everybody's like, every perspective is both right and wrong, right? Like, the perspective just is what it is. Have you seen that? Like, there's a reel, you can probably search it on YouTube, where this professor takes a ball and the ball is split right down the middle. And it's painted black on this side and it's painted white on this side. And he has these two students standing on the side of the desk, and he has them turn their back away from the desk, and he puts the ball out there and he puts it in the middle of the room after he shows it to the whole lecture hall, and he sets it on the desk, and then he has them turn around and he goes, okay, what color is the ball? And this one is like, it's white, and this one's like, it's black. And the class is like laughing and everything. And they're like, what? It's white. And he's like, no, it's not. It's black. And they like argue about it. And the point is that he's making is like, everyone's perspective is right from their perspective. And so so when I have a limiting belief, there actually might be some validity into what's limiting my view there. However, if I go talk to Diana Kokoska, she's like, why are you only doing 25 deals a year? You should be doing 200. What's happening? Like, for her, it's like, that's a no-brainer. Like, 200 should be your minimum. Like, you don't even have a business if you're not doing 40 or 50. Like, you have a hobby. Like, she's very passionate about it. Well, from her perspective, that's the case. From my perspective, I'm running 100 miles an hour, and I've got kids, and I've got volleyball that I like. Well, which one of us is right or wrong? There's no right or wrong. Just her perspective is she's looking at business from a different angle than I am. And that's okay. It's just, what do I want? Do I want to see both sides of the ball, or I just want to see the side that I'm looking at? But having conversations with other people, wildly helpful in removing limiting beliefs. Ask a partner for one limiting, one that is like helping each other remove one, switch roles. We won't take the time to do that. My suggestion there though is just have somebody. If you don't, find somebody that you can be a confidant in. Hey, Shelby, and have those conversations. If I'm banging against a glass ceiling in an area, I need to seek counsel. I need to have some help. It could be in business, of course. It could also be in personal. I know Mary Austin won't mind me sharing this at all. When she was first in productivity coaching, she was dual career. She wanted to become a full-time agent. And so we set some goals and she had a lot of limiting beliefs around it. And so we talked about that. One of her number one limiting beliefs was Jason, her husband. Like she didn't think that he was going to have the support, that she was going to have his support, that she needed to have a real job, the accountability and the safety that came with having a more structured, position. And so one of the things that we incorporated into her removal of that limiting belief was, why don't you guys spend more time talking about it? And she was like, well, we're so busy, we don't have time. Cool. Sounds like we need to incorporate like a weekly date night into your business plan. And so that became our number one coaching conversation topic. She'd come in and I'd be so excited. I'd be like, okay, where's date night this week? Like what research? And some of our coaching sessions were just researching cool date ideas for them to go do. And what happened was it created this bond in their marriage and their relationship. And then they were able to just like have some free time to just like talk about business and what her goals were and what her plan. And her plan was to become a full-time agent by the end of that year. And I think she accomplished it by like October. And now Jason's like, he's got his license and they're a team, and like just a lot of limiting beliefs were removed. And it all really just became having somebody to have a conversation with it about. So sometimes it's just talking through it out loud with somebody and hearing a different perspective. Okay, any ahas from removing limiting beliefs? Comments, thoughts? Pretty cut and dry. Step 6, be accountable. Okay, here we go. This is the account. Oh, that's really small. You guys probably can't even see that, can you? I don't know how to make that bigger. I wish I could just mouse wheel that. Okay, here we go. Are you a victim or are you accountable? Life happens. This is the blue. Reality shows up is the red. Ignorance is not seeking reality. I'm asking 0 questions, just like this is happening. Seeking reality is an awareness. What's the situation? Asking questions about it. How did I get here? So seeking reality versus ignorance. Denial is somebody who fights against reality. Man, that is like so hard. That's not the way it is. That's not how I see it. That's the way we always do it. That's fighting against reality. Acknowledging reality leads to clarity. This is why it's the way it is. This is how we got here. I now see what's going on. That's acknowledging reality. Shelby, you ever had a deal fall apart? Yeah, right? Like agents have things fall apart, right? I could be like, oh, well, I mean, there's nothing else I could have done. That agent sucked. The people, they weren't really serious about it. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. But the reality is, it's not even like I should have known or I should have done this. It's I could have done this, or that, right? Like maybe this happened to me yesterday. One of the houses we looked at, it had 3 major things that were deal breakers to these people. We should have never even been looking at the house. I could have taken a more professional stance and be like, Chad, listen, I know you guys are interested in seeing this house. It does not back up to green space, and you told me that was a deal breaker for you. It does not have a 3-car garage. You told me that was a deal breaker for you. It does not have the ability to have a 6-foot privacy fence. You told me that was a deal breaker for you. Do you still want to look? Instead, I'm just like, yep, let's go look at it, because I know this. I remember hearing this phrase out there, buyers are liars. Remember that? So sometimes buyers say, this is a deal breaker, this is a deal breaker, this is a deal breaker. And you show them a house and they're like, oh, love it. Let's put an offer in. And you're like, wait, you said so that side of me was like, well, let's go look at it. And it was fine. Here's what happened though. We put an offer in on it. They were super excited. By the end of the day yesterday, they wanted to withdraw their offer. Why do you want to withdraw your offer? Well, it doesn't back up to green space, and that really is a deal breaker for us. I knew that. I knew that going into it. But what happened was I wasted nearly an hour on the showing itself. I wasted nearly an hour writing up the offer and sending them the disclosures to sign off on. Then I call this other agent. I wasted my time. I wasted their time. It was just a bunch of time waste. Why? Because I didn't really acknowledge reality there. I just went. That's okay. Yeah, and then we wrote an offer on the one that had green space. And that's the one that I'm waiting to hear back on, hopefully any minute. But the bummer part of it was I could have had all that done, and I could have had, I missed out on 2 hours. Andy and I took our dog to the dog park. I missed out on a bunch of time. And that was on me because I knew that those things were deal breakers to them, or at least that's what they told me. And they did. No, they did. I think that, but I learned a lesson there, right? And I had to acknowledge the reality. It was, that's a risk that I took, right? That's a risk I took. Yeah. Okay. And then here we go. Blaming things, projecting it on. If everybody else would do their job, it's not my fault. The economy is to blame. The market's to blame. The interest rates are high. Why didn't you do something? Versus owning it brings energy and focus. If it's to be, then it's up to me. What do I want? I've got to do something. This is my responsibility. Those phrases and just saying those things causes this like dynamic shift in my thought patterns. If I own it, then I never get frustrated with anybody other than myself. I'm not frustrated with those buyers yesterday. There was a lot of things about that house that was wow factor. And so it was exciting. And they're like, the house is amazing. The setting was wrong. Well, there's a lot of wonderful houses in the wrong setting. And what they really want long-term, they did the right thing by withdrawing their offer because it was the green space in the park is I understand it. I back up to green space and I did on my last house and I could never have a neighbor in my backyard. I've looked at a couple of houses over the last 2 years that I was like highly interested in moving to. And then I stand out on the back porch or the back deck and I'm like, I can see 14 backyards right here. That's just not what I want. That's okay for a lot of people. It's just not what I want. But also I don't want to live on 10 acres either because I don't want to spend the time to take care of it. So I'm looking for this like diamond property that has, that meets my needs. I have to own that. If I can't find it, that's on me. Maybe I need to change my mindset shift. I can't blame the builder. I can't blame Parks and Rec. I can't blame anyone else. Coming up with personal excuses, that's victim mentality. Nobody told me that's not my job. Well, I did my part. I was never given a chance. They didn't look at my offer. The dollars weren't there. Those are all excuses. Finding a solution is accountability. What are my options? How can I get what I want? What can I do? What are the possibilities? And then finally, waiting and hoping. Remember, what's that? Hope's not a strategy. I can't wait around and hope. I think this is the biggest thing in my spiritual journey that I've probably learned is I see so many Christ followers that they do the wait and hope thing. And they're like, well, I prayed and I took my request and my petition before the Lord, and then they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. Well, God gave us dominion over the earth. He gave us the ability to have free will. Like we're supposed to do something, right? I'm supposed to be a provider for my family. I'm supposed to like put my hands to the earth and do work. Like I'm not supposed to just sit there and like hope that he magically pays all my bills for me. Like that's not it. Waiting and hoping, that is not a strategy. That's resignation. That's me throwing out a blind offer and not asking any questions at all and hoping our offer gets chosen. Well, what am I competing against? Am I competing against anything? When will I know the answer? What do the sellers really want here? How can I make my offer awesome so that they'll pick mine? That's me getting on with it. That's me coming up with an action plan. Let me get some details from you, seller's agent. What could we put in our offer that would make it really appealing to your sellers? We have a ton of flexibility with closing date, possession. We can give you occupancy after possession for as long as you need to move. Is that important to your people? We can close in 2 weeks, or we can close in 8 weeks. What's important to you guys? Is it just dollars? Okay, great. Will you take an escalation clause? If we do that, we're going to escalate to, like, asking questions, putting together a game plan and getting on with it. And it doesn't matter if it's in business or personal. It doesn't matter. If I'm a victim and I do these things, I'm going to get the status quo, which means I'm going to just keep getting what I've always gotten, which is a bold law, right? Do what you've always done, get what you've always gotten. Accountable equals change. This is what I really want to do. What'd she say their team was going to do? 100 transactions? Cool. How are you going to make it happen? I don't know. We've never done 100 transactions before. Cool. Who has? Go talk to them and find out what they do. What do they do on Monday? What do they do on Tuesday? When's their day off? When's their family time? This business could literally go 24/7. So if you cut your business off at 7 p.m., who's going to manage a showing that's at 7:30? Do you have that person? Do you have somebody that you can call? Can you pay them a showing fee? Whatever. Coming up with that plan and being accountable to it leads to the change that you're looking for. Uh-oh, did I break it? Oh, man. Shelby comes in and breaks all of our technology. Here is the blown up version of those highlights. Being a victim, not seeking reality, fighting reality, blaming, personal excuses, waiting and hoping. Being accountable, seeks reality, acknowledges reality, owns it, finds solutions, gets on with it. Being accountable. All right, here we go. Mark Weiss. Let's see what he has to offer. Holy smokes, does that say? Oh, I thought it said 23 minutes and 47 seconds.
Hi, my name is Mark Weiss, and I've been with KW since 2007. The last personal perspective is be accountable. Why is it so important to be accountable? Well, if your life is a journey, you get to choose whether you're going to be a passenger or the driver. You can choose to plan and work towards specific goals in different areas of your life, such as fitness or business. To me, accountability is accepting that my success, my life, and eventually my legacy will be defined by my choices and actions. Even though I was disciplined as a lifelong athlete before joining KW, I didn't have a system of accountability for business. In fact, when I joined KW, I was going to be an investor in a market center. And the OP brought 75 agents. He was the largest independent broker in town. My wife and I, we brought 14 agents. And we rented an 8,000 square foot office. And as the weeks went on and we were waiting for New York to allow us to open, he came in one day and said, I've got cold feet. And he took his agents back to his brokerage. Well, we needed 40 agents to be approved for the franchise. My wife and I made the decision to mortgage our house and buy him out. And as I committed to becoming the OP, I got on a plane or in a car every 30 days to get to training, the training that I would need to become successful. And I hired a MAPS coach. And my coach kept me laser focused on doing what I needed to do to grow the business. I learned how to build a GPS, how to create priorities and strategies that would lead to my goals, how to work with a 411 to focus my weekly activities on monthly milestones on the way to my annual goal. And as I was benchmarking against the top market centers, I learned that all the highest achievers made time to go to class consistently. They all use systems and models in their businesses, and they all had coaches, agents, and leaders. Being accountable to my business goals was one of the best things I've ever done. By the end of the year, we were one of the top launching market centers. Now, when setting goals, my team always uses a GPS. Everyone has a MAPS coach, and everyone uses a 411 to align their weekly activities with our annual goals. This system of accountability keeps us on the path to our goals so that we succeed together. Through this experience and many more through the years, I've learned that if it's to be, it's up to me. Being accountable is a choice. Some people choose to not be accountable because they're afraid of success. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of feeling uncomfortable, or they fear failure. Failure is essential to success. Accountability narrows our path so that we fail our way to success more quickly. Think of a goal that's really important to you, one that would change your life. What is one thing that you can do to increase your accountability to achieve that goal? Work with a 411. Talk to your team leader about your business goals. Hire a MAPS coach. Being accountable to my goals has absolutely changed my life. And I know it can change yours too. Commit to being accountable.
Thanks, Mark. Accountability, it's the key. He mentioned in there that he hired a MAPS coach. He went to the training that he needed to be at in order to learn the job. I think everybody here does a pretty good job of committing to training and learning what's going on and learning what's possible and learning the next steps. That's really the key, which is also part of the 6 personal perspectives. Make being learning based part of your foundation. Think of an issue or problem that you're struggling with right now. You have 2 minutes to complain about your problem with others in the classroom. That's Stephanie Finn. She's just a thorn in my side. Hey, Steph. After 2 minutes, return to your seats. Utilize the be accountable steps to work through and write down necessary. Again, don't have to do that, but just think through it. Like, are there things in our life right now that we're being a victim to and that we could be accountable to? That we're just letting those things drive our attitude, our mindset. There's a ton of different things, right? I don't know why there's like, what? Not anymore. The accountability, the people in Mark King's box. Here we go. Financial, spiritual, physical, business. These are some of the main areas that move us. So what he has is Mark King used to be our regional director, and then he was the president of the company, and then now I think he's the training operations manager. But Mark King, he went to school in Grandview. He's from here in Kansas City. Dude's a wizard financially. So he's got people that he's accountable to in his financial life. Tom Stanley, Gary Keller. In his spiritual life, Grandpa Pete and JC. Physical life, Dr. Jason Fung, Tom DeLauer, his coach. In business, Gary, he's in Gary's like inner circle, whatever the top 10. And then Carl Liebert, who used to be one of our KW Worldwide guys. He's got people that he's accountable to. They have a regular check-in. If you're not having a regular check-in with somebody, of anybody about any of those topics, they're probably things that you're going to fall out in. If you're not coming into team meeting regularly, if you're not in some way plugging into the market center, it's real easy to just kind of like out of sight, out of mind. You start losing steam and momentum. There's no accountability there. Just kind of whatever happens, happens. It's really tough if you don't have people in your life to help drive you forward and to help make sure, even if they're not doing anything, just you telling them what your game plan is and then reporting back to them builds in a self-accountability that leads to success in those areas. Who are the people in your box? If you don't have any people, think about who those people could be. Think about who those people could be. Finance, business, spirituality, health. Who are you accountable to in those areas? Some of you guys are freaks of nature and you're just totally self-accountable in one, maybe 2 of those areas, but not all of them. What of those areas do you want to grow the most in? Maybe instead of having 1 or 2 people of accountability, you have 3 or 4. Here's the career growth initiative that he talked about in there. We used to use this a lot in our leadership training in here. This really, Finn's he used to post his up there. Appointments. If you don't have any appointments, then the only thing you need to be doing is lead genning. If you have no appointments, then you have no future business. If you're going on appointments, they should be converting into listings. If you're not getting any listings, you need to go on more appointments, or you need to work on your scripts and dialogue because you're going on a ton of appointments and you're not getting anything. We know that in this industry, the minimum is like 50%. So if you're going on 10 listing appointments, you're pretty much guaranteed 5 of them because they're only meeting with one agent. They just met with you and you like whatever. So, I mean, we've had some agents come through here. They are so bad at this business and they got listings. Like the things that they said, how they showed up, the lack of research that they did. I'm like, how did you even get hired for that? It was crazy. I want Nathan Neff. Nathan was brand new. He was on board duty. He didn't know anything. And literally this guy walked in and was like, apparently I got to sell my house. My kids are making me sell it. And he had like a 350 house down in Skyview. And so Nathan was like, what do I do? And I'm like, let's do it. Like we walked through it. I even walked him through door knocking the neighborhood and we set up for his open house and he sold a 350 listing and he didn't even know what to say or do. So you can get, if you're going on appointments and you're getting listings, you're going to have closings. The wall of value is what you bring to the table. So I could get a listing appointment, but if I don't do any open houses, I'm probably not going to get another listing from it. I'm not connecting with people. I'm not picking up buyers if I'm not doing any open houses because I almost always pick up a buyer at an open house. Sometimes you pick up a neighbor who comes in and they're just like scoping it out and they're thinking about selling. So sometimes you pick up other listings from open houses. If you have listings, they should be leading to closings. And then only with closings do we get profit. This is the career growth initiative. This is how we grow. And we track how many conversations do I have to have in order to get an appointment? How many listings do I need to get the amount of closings in it? You guys remember walking backwards through the business planning clinic? If I need to make, like Shelby, if I need to make $450,000, then how many closings do I need to make at my average commission? However many closings, then I know that I'm getting 80% of my listings are getting to the closing table. So I need 120% of that number in listings. How many appointments am I going on to get those listings? And I just work it backwards. How many calls, how many touches, how many open houses, how many business networking luncheons do I need to go to in order to get one appointment? Or am I just waiting for somebody to reach out to me and go, hey, can you meet with me? I'm thinking about buying a house or selling a house. And some of us, your databases are big enough that that's okay. Lonnie's kind of starting to scale back a little bit. He's not doing as much lead gen and more so just kind of servicing the stuff that comes in. That's okay too. They do a lot of passive marketing. They're doing a lot of postcards. Darren Jones does that. Darren has an incredible postcard business. Guy will make $100K a year just sending out postcards. Nothing wrong with that either, right? That's great. So how many postcards though does he need to send out in order to get those appointments? If he's getting 5 appointments a month, sending out 1,000 postcards, then the math would say that he needs to send out 2,000 postcards if he wants 10 appointments, whatever it is. And the way that we track that is through Command. Command is a great way to track it. Some people like to use a spreadsheet. Some people have a bunch of post-it notes on there, whatever, just track it in some way so that you know where you're going. That's an easy way to be accountable because if I go, well, how many deals do you want to do this year? Well, I want to do 10 deals. Great. How many appointments do you need to go on every month? I don't know. Okay, well, then we need to look at your math because we track everything in this business. So if you're not personally tracking your own, that's the first way to be accountable is I need to know where I'm at. I need to know where I'm good at. I'm really good at locking down appointments. I'm really bad at getting listings. Okay, well, cool. Then maybe you're just not saying the right thing. Maybe you're not ever asking for the close. What's the conversation go like? So then we can go back to committing to self-mastery and we can figure out that why is that conversion off for you? Chad, you're going on 4 appointments a day and you only got 1 listing. Like what? I mean, you should be getting a listing a day at that, right? You should be getting 2 listings a day at that. And he's talking himself out of it. I remember Mooneyham and I, when we had Money Row going, Mooneyham went on this listing appointment one time and I was like, hey, how'd it go? And he was like, dude, I cannot do that every night. And I was like, why not? He was there for like 2.5 hours. And I was like, I'm thinking like they did the listing, they got the ERS signed, they probably went through the seller's disclosure. Nope, he didn't even get the listing. But they walked the property and they talked forever. And I'm like, bro, 30 minutes. If you're not going to get the listing, get out of there. Like he just talked himself out of it was all. It was really funny. Lesson learned. All right, any ahas on being accountable? Say your goals out loud. Write them down. Tell somebody about them. Surround yourself with people that are on the path that you want to be on. That's being accountable. Shelby and Eric were at the golf thing the other day. Like, that was a fun time, wasn't it? That was really fun. Surrounding ourselves with other people that are doing it, like, it builds camaraderie, and you're like, oh my gosh, you like, Trisha wasn't even here 2 years ago, and Gal's in the top 10 right now, like, crushing it. Cool. What are you doing? Like, one of the things that Trisha, that has really increased her business, was she was kind of like separating her husband's business and her business. Anthony runs like this deck building business, but he also does handyman work and stuff like that. She just started saying like, hey, to get your house ready to go, like, these are the things that we need to see. If you want the easy button, that's what my husband's company does and he can give you a quote, and it's not a conflict of interest because they don't have to hire him. And she started the overwhelming response was, this lady's bringing a ton of value. Her wall of value is really high because I don't even have to go look for anybody. She's got it all right here. And then also they need, like, some people needed some trash hauled off and stuff. And she was like, I'm going to make my kids do it. I feed them every night. They can earn the keep. So she brought her kids over and made them clean. Like, I don't want to do that. However, her GCI is higher than mine right now. So it's working for her, right? So whatever. But it was really cool having that conversation with them and hearing them talking about it. Wasn't it, Shelby? Like, she was just kind of saying how they were doing it and how she's making Anthony do all these jobs. And he's like, I love it. It's extra business for us. Like, well, that's cool. Like, and that was just a mindset shift for her. And what happened? Her business is exploding because she's bringing more value to clients. And I'm like, I do that. I separate things because I don't want things to be a conflict of interest. It's not. You give people free will and they have the ability to choose. So anyway, find somebody to be accountable to. So commit to self-mastery. That's knowing yourself. What am I good at? What do I need to bolster? The 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle, which is the 20% of my activities lead to 80% of my results. And the 80% of time I'm spending probably is only leading to 20% of my results. Moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful, establish a system. What's your schedule look like? What's your workflow look like? Make being learning-based a foundation. If I'm not learning, I'm not growing. If I'm not growing, I'm not winning. Remove your limiting beliefs. You know what? I do not want to get a van and put a wrap that says sold by Shelby all over it, because the only thing that's going to happen is people are going to call and complain about my driving. Or they might call you and go, oh my gosh, you're adorable. Can you come list my house for me? Right? Remove your limiting beliefs. Like, anything is possible. And then be accountable. What's your goal? Write it down. Tell it to somebody. Find somebody to share it with. See you, Shelby. Have a great day. 6 personal perspectives. And these things just are like wash, rinse, and repeat over and over. And they can be applicable to any part of life or any part of your business. They can help you identify what you're doing that's not worth it. Help you identify what's really good. Thanks for coming today, you guys. It's KW goodies. It's KW swag. Yeah, you're welcome. Oh my gosh, of course. I would just do 6 personal perspectives on repeat because it's good for me. I like it. I need to hear it over and over. Joe? Carrie? David? Yes, sir. No, that's it. We're done.
Man, I should have done that.
I'm always giving people Joe's personal cell number. We'll be like, oh, you're one of his tenants? Oh, well, here, let me just give you his personal cell number. Yeah, you're welcome. I would have asked a question and made somebody answer some questions to get a prize. Uh-huh. Exactly. Of course. I think I broke this. Oh, shoot.
Say how much they appreciate all these are recorded.
Yeah. What? It still works, but I thought this just like was elastic and it just came off. Weird.
So. What if I? Right. No, I need to anyway. Or I could print a card, pick the card. Oh, shit.
What house? I don't know. I don't know if he did, actually. I don't know, Chad. I think I did mess that up. I didn't mean to. DTD2, I think we're gonna do a class on that in August. If nobody comes to that, I'm like, there's nothing real, like, I was gonna show somebody the process. So if there's nobody to see the process, then, but all that does though, it just helps us as a market center to know where the interest level's at too, because we want to do things that are relevant to the agents and that are gonna help them grow. And so if we're doing classes or teaching stuff that nobody's interested in learning, then we need to pivot, shift to what's important. So, yeah.
Sorry, I had to leave. My blood sugar was like,
What'd you get? What'd you get? When you left and your blood sugar was low, did you go get a candy bar or suck down a Capri Sun or something?
no, I went to go get pretzels.
Say crack.
Yeah, crackers.
I thought she was gonna get like a banana or a candy bar or,
It was when I went outside during the house.
Oh,
So
oh, you're good.
I had to. Otherwise, I
We
would.
don't want you passing out on the floor.
Yeah, I felt my legs starting to get.
It's not good.
I know.
Well, it's 11:21 and I don't have a text message from Gina yet, so that's not exciting.
something expire at 11 or?
No, ours didn't, we had it expire tonight at 9 PM, but she just said they were gonna meet with the clients this morning and make a decision by 11.
Oh.
I think my Harrisonville listing to sell.
How much is it?
She's lowered it to 269.
Oh my guys.
How much is?
Guy we're running around and his loan can be no more than 195. That's with him putting 5% down, so he's got to bring 5% anyways, plus closing costs. But he's got some cash, so he likes to send me stuff that's like 220, 230, and I'm like, "You can go. You're good. You're gonna take out 40 grand." I didn't really want to. Like, okay, maybe we want to look at something else. And the stuff that'll come up is Ruskin. This one has tried my fair housing, stuff pretty well. And I'm like,
Right.
did you drive the neighborhood? I've kind of threw out what I grew up believing, because some of these areas have been revitalized. I'm like, what do you think about this area? And even people that grew up here, and I'm like, yeah, there's these young couples are moving in, and because houses are affordable, they're gonna have to come around. Grandview schools are gonna have to be better because we're all selling young people houses there. They're gonna start getting kids.
I bought a house in Grandview.
I mean, someone's gonna have to give, right?
It's only
Yeah. I mean, cause
great.
there's fresh breath going in there, right? So,
It has improved a lot.
yeah, that Main Street, what a cute little area, right?
Well, too bad my Pleasant Hill listing sold, because that would have been, well, it's about 215 ended up because.
I wanted him, I had him drive by, I need him to drive by this one Silas has that they redid.
Where's it at?
It's super cute, Pleasant Hill. I need him to drive by, or I had him drive by, Julie's out there in Greenwood. That's now back on the market. And he says he did and just didn't really ever want to talk about it, so I guess that's a no. Instead, we're running around Blue Ridge and 470. A little bit more.
It sounds like I showed some houses for Shelby. That she's insisting on Grandview.
Shelby here. Shelby
Yeah.
Becker.
Yeah, her buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why? Like, you're a single woman and.
It's testing your fair housing stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it does. Isn't that terrible? My gosh. If I want to treat them like they're a kid.
Yes, yeah, we looked at one and I guess through conversation, I must have mentioned that, well, I kind of look at these like at my daughter. He's like, oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And after looking at one, he says, Chad, would you let your daughter buy this house? I looked at it and said, no, I wouldn't. He's like, oh, good enough for me. Okay, like this is why though, we haven't sold, or, we're still looking because it might be unrealistic.
I drove up to my son's house one night, I was meeting him, and it was totally dark. Lives on 141st Street, Grandview. And it's just a little one right off the highway. And it's an okay neighborhood. And, lights were on, curtains were open. Of course, there were a couple cars in the driveway, but I told him, I said, first of all, shut your curtains. He has some cameras up and stuff, but I said, shut your curtains, leave on interior lights. Come on, use your head. Oh, we forgot. I said, I don't care. Close your curtains and leave your inside lights on. You've got plenty of cars in the driveway.
Yeah.
Be smart. Cause it's right off 71. Outer road. It's just scary.
Well, probably no matter where he is,
He's my baby.
still gonna, worry, like. My daughter is in, San Diego's crazy expensive. She's in a, internship out there.
Oh, boy.
And, she's actually in a little suburb called Poway. They give X amount of dollars and she couldn't really find anything. And, they took over, kind of find her a place. They found her a place. Super nice couple. But it's a pool house in someone's backyard. Little 1-bedroom, little kitchenette.
Oh, boy.
We went and dropped her off and stuff, and it was we live in Hawaii, so we know housing arrangements, or you gotta take your Midwest bias out,
Right.
because this isn't normal.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, it is, but not in those dense places. Good. Yes.
But still recording us?
Yeah, heard you cussing.
Oh, Laura, I bet she's